Yeah. I spit raps like a heart attack, fast fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions back, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me through a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now, I'm gonna make you bleed out. Listen on repeat now and weed out all the weak now. Get up and make a change, don't remember yesterday. If you got something to say, speak your mind before your grave. Cause your life is yours to save, ain't nobody gonna change. Everybody stays the same, so be different, make a name.
This episode of the University Podcast was recorded before the Week 0 games and before Week 1 depth charts were announced, so any information regarding depth charts in this video may be incorrect. Hello and welcome into the University Podcast. I am your host, Kyle. Joining me today are some childhood friends of mine.
Oh no.
We got going all the way back to Linden Elementary School, Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Shout out
And
Linden Elementary School.
just dox us right off the bat. To my right or left or whatever, we got Addie, hailing from Cali boy. Big Ohio State fan. We'll see how that goes for him.
Also, I gotta get this on. I didn't know you had a whole intro. Like that was.
Of course,
so
I have
legit.
a whole intro.
That was
Yeah,
so legit. I was like,
we got Zach Wilson in there.
That was crazy.
Yeah. And then
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And then also with us today is Wilder. I don't know where he's at. Probably Tennessee still.
I'm in Knox.
Yeah. Tennessee boys and Ohio Indiana.
And a boy who escaped Tennessee as fast as he could when he had the chance. Went as far as possible, some might even say.
Tennessee grad.
It's
Tennessee
okay. I miss y'all.
I miss you too, Addie. So we're gonna talk about some random college football stuff. Just some stuff that's on our mind. This episode kind of came about like just texting back and forth, like, "Hey, man, I want to talk about college football, so let's talk about college football and make some content off of it because why not?" So I mean, obviously, last year we had Georgia taking on Alabama to win the national championship. Those two teams obviously expected to be good again. So let's start there in the SEC. Alabama and Georgia, what are the expectations for those two programs? And kind of, are they going to repeat in the West and the East? I feel like it's not a tough question to ask, but we'll ask it anyway. We'll start with Addie.
For me, I feel like off the top of my head, I don't know who's in the or who's in the East and who's in the West. I'm not gonna lie. Wait, where's A&M? Is A&M in the same one as Georgia or
West.
Alabama?
West.
Bama.
Bama.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Addie. Geography. Come on.
It's been a long 4 years. It's been a long 4 years. But I was gonna say, I'm really interested to see where like A&M is, not just this year but next year, because of like that crazy recruiting class they had, and specifically like the recruiting class they had. I feel like it's the type that can make that immediate impact, like on the D line, and like mostly on the defensive side. So I'm like mostly interested to see like how A&M goes, because like how A&M goes, like I feel like has like a huge ripple effect for NIL and everything else down the line. Like if A&M like doesn't do well, I feel like Alabama and Georgia are like given like into the SEC championship game. I've heard I heard like some rumblings earlier, like Kentucky might be a team to watch in the East and stuff, but I feel like Bama definitely with the defense coming back. Okay, yeah, I'm on a Tennessee podcast, but non-Tennessee people were telling me Kentucky might be a team to watch. But I'm mostly interested in A&M from like a pure like impact on recruiting, and just to see how fast Jimbo or like they can turn the program around. That's what I'm mostly interested in.
Knoxville, Tennessee boy Walter Nolan, of course, headlining that recruiting class.
Yeah.
But they've got some wide receivers too. I mean, Evan Stewart's going there. But the question
they
is,
have like 2 5-star receivers, like they have, and like a 5-star quarterback, Connor Weigman. Like they have a lot of people going there.
The question is going to be: can Jimbo develop these quarterbacks and wide receivers, because that's been something that's been a big challenge for him, you know, outside of Jameis, I believe. Like, I think that matches up, right?
Yeah.
Um,
EJ Manuel maybe.
He was okay.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I mean, he was
you
a
can
good
only.
college quarterback, but
Yeah, he was. I mean, he did what Jimbo needed him to do. But I guess Jameis was like that step up that like helped. It kind of like alleviated a lot of the stress off of Jimbo. Um. Also, like, I feel like it really depends like how much A&M is gonna be able. I think A&M needs to hit the ground running fast. Otherwise, it's gonna be like just like a tough year for them because already their next class is not off to a great start. There's already been rumors of like these NIL promises not getting confirmed all the way through. So I'm really interested to see how A&M goes because dude, like that, the amount of talent they have on the D line is like is genuinely like program changing. So if they can get off on the right foot and get the ball rolling, like I'd love to see how they go. Because that's how you want to build, right? Like defense first, and you can just try to figure it out on offense as best as you can. But yeah.
yeah, and obviously a tough SEC schedule, but I mean, pretty easy to start off. I mean, they got Sam Houston State week 1, Appalachian State week 2,
Ooh, Miami.
Miami week 3 is going to be the tough one. Um, but I
That's gonna
think,
be a really good game with Cristobal's O line against that D line.
yeah, and I think App State's probably going to be like a decent measuring stick to at least figure out like if that starting quarterback is going to be good enough. Because
Hmm.
I mean, they're looking at um, is it Jake Max Johnson at quarterback? Probably, maybe Haynes King. Obviously, Max Johnson played at LSU last year. Haynes King played
Hmm.
for A&M last year. Neither was particularly great. I kind of hate Max Johnson. um,
Well, as of 6 hours ago, Jimbo is still not ready to publicly announce the starting quarterback.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's because they're close or if Jimbo's trying to keep something up his sleeve.
Hmm.
But I mean, we do you think we could see Connor Wegman in his freshman season? Because I kind of do.
The only reason I say no is because okay, let's see. Like they play Sam Houston State, Appalachian State, and then Miami, right? Like at that point, you're not bringing Wegman in. Arkansas, Mississippi State, Alabama, you're not bringing Wegman like in those 3 games. Like I don't know where you, except for maybe UMass at the end of the season. Like where do you want it? Like like you don't want to bring in a 5 star or like a great quarterback just to throw him into the fire against a really well polished defense. Like there's no point in that. Even if it's for like a future or like kind of like an experience building kind of exercise, there's really no point in that. So I don't know. Like I if it's really down to Johnson and King, I feel like it's just going to be between those two, unless there's an injury that have like these things happen, where opportunities do arise during the season. But I don't see Wegman getting too much of a chance unless it's a dumpster fire down there. Like unless it's real. Like if he's getting a chance, it's
Is
probably really
is
bad.
3-3 to start the season a dumpster fire, losing to the ranked teams on their schedule: Miami, Arkansas, Alabama.
I think they'll be 4-2.
That's
I think they
definitely
get one
dumpster
of
fire.
Miami
They
and
should
Arkansas.
be, other than Bama, they should be beating both of the other two ranked teams on that schedule. So
True, but the thing is, Miami like is Van Dyke there?
Yeah, Van Dyke's
Yeah,
good,
Miami's good, and also they have
but
O line with Cristobal.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see because they just hired that Michigan offensive coordinator,
Josh
no
Gaddis.
Gaddis. And obviously Michigan was running the ball all the time. Um, Pretty awful for quarterbacks up at Michigan. So we'll see if Van Dyke can succeed. And obviously, that's a team that lost Charleston Rambo to the NFL draft. They lost another wide receiver that I can't remember the name of. So they'll have to have somebody step up there. Maybe one of the tight ends, and then they're also thin at running back. I mean, they had a 4 or 5 star running back, Trevante Citizen, in there, tore his ACL. So probably going to be Jalen Knighton.
Hmm.
But maybe some Cheney, I think is his name, the guy from Miami. I don't know. No,
I don't know, man.
this is Miami. He didn't transfer from Miami to
He,
Miami.
he's like he was like I'm gonna leave. No, actually, I've decided to stay.
We see that all the time now.
Could have gone from the one in Ohio to the one in Florida.
Actually, that was a good call. That Miami Texas A&M game is actually like I've circled it. I am so excited to see that game.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is just like, can the Miami defense do anything? Like, are they ready?
Well, it's two things. It's the awful Texas A&M offense, and the awful like which is worse. Like we'll find out.
But like, even if they're awful, and I do think they might be in the passing game, the offensive line is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
They have some running backs. They'll be able to run probably all over this Miami defense. It's going to be the issue.
Yeah, fair. But I feel like the flip is also true. Like, sure, Texas A&M has more star power on defense, but I feel like Miami has like the proven both, not just like with Van Dyke, but their weaknesses, like you pointed out, in the running game, supported by Gaddis's coaching, supported by Cristobal's offensive line, like pedigree. Like, I feel like they're strong in this like in the perfect ways to like make up for their weaknesses right now. But you're right, it's gonna be like a coin flip that game. Like it's gonna be two awful offense defense like combos going at it.
And then this isn't really the only game that needs to be circled in terms of like SEC versus other conferences. Obviously, Alabama and Texas, week 2. We'll see what happens there. I mean, we're gonna have Bryce Young versus now confirmed Quinn Ewers. Good old Ohio State, former Ohio State legend Quinn Ewers.
We were developing him, and we were like, you know what, we don't want to develop him too much. We want to send him back to the Lone
Clearly,
Star
because
State.
you wouldn't play him even when you were blowing out.
Nope,
teams.
he wouldn't play this year. He wouldn't play the next year. He might not play the next year.
Was he even getting practice reps? Like,
I mean, he was getting practice reps. He got in one game, but I think like there were like some rumors over like he needed like game time stuff for his NIL stuff. But I don't know. Like I think
the NIL stuff. The whole reason he was at Ohio State, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the reason he graduated early was for that, right? To sign his to Texas stuff. Yeah, but I mean, it worked out for him. I mean, we got CJ. I have like literally no problem with this.
Well, we'll get back to Ohio State later. And then the other obviously big SEC game early in the season, Georgia versus Oregon. Oregon, just hired one of Georgia's assistants in his first season, Coach Lanning. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, another former SEC player in Bo Nix set to lead their offense.
It's so weird, dude. Transferring is so awesome. I'm sorry, I love it. Like I love this.
It's beautiful. But do we think this Oregon team can actually challenge Georgia this year?
Nope.
That's a resounding head shake from both of our guests this week.
Mostly because like that defense was so good last year, right? Like Wilder, you haven't said much. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, Georgia's defense is so good, and I don't have any faith in Oregon. Like I think Oregon will be good, but so early on in the season against Georgia, like I don't think like it'll be an interesting game to see, but very unlikely I think that Oregon pulls off the stunner there.
Like if you were to say like if you don't want to get upset early in the season, like what are two things you want? A strong defense and like an experienced quarterback. You know what I mean? Like two things to control and slow down the game. Georgia has that. Like so like just off of those things, like Georgia is like it's nothing like I feel like it's not like a real pretty offense, but with that defense, it just needs to get the job done. And I think it does that against Oregon.
I do think the one path for Oregon to possibly make some noise in this game is with their defense. I mean, obviously Stetson Bennett has, experience, but he's still Stetson Bennett. I mean, we can talk about his lack of pedigree over and over again, but it still exists. And Sewell's good. I mean, they have a couple of guys who can rush the passer, but obviously Georgia's offensive line, quite the counter.
Not just offensive line, like this is underrated, but their tight end play is like elite. Bowers and Washington, Like if they literally can
And
go
Gilbert
like seven.
and
Yeah, they can go
Scattell.
like 8 blockers, man. Like, and you can't stop. And they got Milton in the backfield. Like he's good as shit. He's so good. So like they're nasty. But like no, it'll be good. Like Oregon's got good linebackers. Sewell, Justin Flau from like what number one, number two linebacker from 2 years ago. So it'll
If
be a
Flau
good
stays
match.
healthy, if Flau stays healthy, he's gonna have a
Yeah,
massive season.
yeah. He's like the perfect mold for the linebacker. Like what you would want to see in a linebacker right now.
Yeah, a little bit of probably like Roquan, who obviously had a lot of success in that Georgia system that's now in Oregon.
Wait, we didn't even think about Bo Nix. Maybe he's using that SEC experience, that all that
Because it
those
worked so
experiences.
well when he was in the SEC.
But now he's like, let me take it somewhere else. Play the same teams on a different coast.
He has a bunch of unproven wide receivers, some running backs who have barely ever played. So obviously it's gonna work. Gosh, I'll take the under on however many games it is that Bo Nix starts. I don't think he sticks around.
At least they'll have cool uniforms.
Wilder from left field.
The highlighter yellow is what's gonna beat Georgia.
Exactly. They'll be so distracted by all the lights and like colors on the field. They'll be like, "Wait, what is going on?" And then that'll be how Oregon wins. I mean, it is Georgia. Like, you can't expect their players to be too bright, you know.
Oh Jesus! No, you can't say that as like a Tennessee fan. Like, please.
Anyway, the SEC. There's a couple of other decent teams in here. We talked about the West. Any interest in talking about, Ole Miss, Mississippi State? Hopefully, some passing attacks there.
Right? Yeah, it'll be interesting at least. Oh, Jackson
mean-
Dart's at Mississippi now. Like, it'll be good.
Jackson Dart may be starting at Mississippi.
Oh, maybe.
Luke Altmaier, the incumbent, well, not really the incumbent because obviously he didn't start last year. Been challenging, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously we wanted to see Jackson Dart, win the job outright, but it's been tough for him. They have some weapons, Zach Evans is there after his numerous stops. I mean, that dude committed to Tennessee, I think, and then committed to Georgia, and then somehow ended up at TCU or something.
He's at Ole Miss now.
Yeah, but he's really good. He's just
yeah.
he's kind of a piece of work off the field, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mike Leach, Will Rogers, they might challenge for something. They'll throw the ball all around. They'll be fun to watch. But in the East, obviously Georgia looking to defend their title probably will, but I'll throw this one to Wilder because I think he has the right answer. Which team is really contending with Georgia in the East this year?
It's Tennessee. As much as I don't want to go ahead and say it, and I know there's some hype around Kentucky. I believe in the process. I trust the process, as cliche as it is. I think we'll be good this year, but I also don't think we're gonna be great. Like, I'm thinking like 9-3, 8-4 territory. If we can get 9-3 and keep our losses to like Georgia, Bama, Florida, or Georgia, Bama, Pitt, or something like that, like that would be okay. Although I don't want to lose the Pitt again, that would be after.
No, I was just gonna say, like, how many wins do y'all think are y'all gonna get in the first 5 games? Because that Pitt game, that's basically gonna set the tone for the rest of the season.
I think Pitt's gonna be bad. I think Pitt's gonna suck.
At least 3.
It wasn't the backup good last year. The backup quarterback.
It got Keaton Slovis.
Oh, they left
USC.
Slovis too now. Oh, and Addison left.
Yeah.
Oh, is French still there?
French. They lost their
The wide
OC.
receiver?
They lost their OC, Mark Whipple, to Nebraska. So Obviously, he was a big part of it. Jordan Addison won the Biletnikoff, was the
Damn,
best
he
wide
did
receiver
good.
in college football last year. He wanted
Yeah, Pitt
money.
might have some rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have a good offensive line. They got a bunch of old guys out there, a couple good running backs, but I don't see how they keep pace with Tennessee. Um, Heinz Field, not really a home field advantage for them. I think it'll be about a third orange at least, maybe a half. So I think Tennessee will handle them. I have
Interesting
a
fun fact with this game, though. Do you all know what the largest city in the region of Appalachia is?
What is Appalachia? Like, how do you define Appalachia?
Like the Appalachian mountain range. So I would include that extending up into like northern parts of New York, but things that like I would say cities that directly touch the mountain.
Does
Gatlinburg on a
Atlanta?
Saturday.
Does Atlanta? Do you count
I would not
Atlanta?
include Atlanta now.
No, the answer is
So
Pittsburgh.
this is what I got from a like Wikipedia list of cities within Appalachia. But you know what the largest city in Appalachia is by
Pittsburgh.
population? Pittsburgh. You know what number 2 is?
Knoxville.
Knoxville. So
Oh yeah, so everyone in Knoxville is just pulling up to
Appalachia.
a real
Knoxville.
fun game.
on the other sides of on the mountain range. Like,
Yeah, just
Appalachia is home to
cornered
the
on the mountains.
She's largest labor
she
Appalachian.
said, "Let me tell you something real quick."
So
Well, if Pitt's
Anyway,
not as strong
Kyle
as if Pitt's not
Appalachia.
as strong as they are gonna be, you should start 4-0.
The Coach Johnny Majors Classic. So yeah, I mean Tennessee 10-2, looking to beat Georgia next year, right?
10-2. So you're saying our only losses should be to Bama and Georgia.
Yes.
So there's no hiccups this year.
I mean,
I
that
say there's
would
at least
be no
one hiccup.
hiccup.
I'm saying you're
That's-
9-3 at best. Like,
I feel like 8-4 is a decent year. 9-3 is good. If we go 10-2, that's basically going perfect. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like,
I think
that's
it'll be good.
I don't know if we will though. Like,
Wait, here's a question for you: was the
I
defense good
installed
last
it.
year, and has it gotten better this year?
No, and maybe, but probably not.
Because I feel like that's like the offense was like pretty good, like
I think
from the
the
play
defense,
callers to the players. But what's up on defense?
I think the defense can stop the run. I think we're gonna be SOL against the pass.
I was about to say, I have no faith in our secondary at all.
I mean, Alontae Taylor was the only decent cornerback we had, and even he was just pretty good. And now he's in the NFL.
I mean, for the SEC though, being run stop like preference is, you know what I mean? Like at least it's good for your conference, like to have that kind of setup on defense.
Yeah, and I mean it'll depend on like if those teams that we're gonna play in the East can step up their passing game. Obviously, Florida has a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson who's a run first quarterback, but
He
if
can
he
sling at
takes
90.
as a passer, he has the arm strength, he has the arm talent. It's just a mental processing that we don't know if he has or not. If he takes that step as a passer, Tennessee still might be able to stop him because he has no wide receivers. But it will be a challenge. And then LSU would be the week after that. Don't even know who's going to start at quarterback there. It's between Jaden Daniels from Arizona State and Garrett Nussmeier, the rising sophomore.
I have to say that's a rough 3-week stretch.
Yeah, that's tough.
Florida, LSU, Bama.
That's a rough 4-week stretch. Ending it with Tennessee Martin, Jesus.
I think the saving grace is that Florida and Alabama are at home.
Yeah, because otherwise that would just be like real rough. It's still bad. We need 2 wins out of those 3 games. I think. Like,
Yes, to go 10
and
and
that's
2.
assuming. Yeah.
We need that.
Well, I think.
I don't
Yeah.
think. I think Tennessee could upset somebody, but it wouldn't be Alabama. It would have to be Georgia.
You think you're dropping like a 40 piece on Georgia,
No,
or that Georgia just doesn't
maybe
score on you
we
either?
can hold them. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to see us break the curse on Bama much more than I want to see us beat Georgia.
Is Bama at home?
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
Georgia's not though. But the last time we beat Georgia was away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That Georgia Stadium is not intimidating.
The hedges.
Josh Dobbs, Hail Mary, Hendon Hooker's gonna throw one to Cedric Tillman this
But
year.
Jones, oh my God, you saved my career. Like, I'm sorry. Every time he collapsed to the ground after the Hail Mary, that's him like praying like his career got saved. I didn't know he was the Arkansas State coach now.
They're so
Jeez.
bad.
They're so bad. They're literally the worst team in like college football or something. Like they're so bad.
Almost. Josh Dobbs though, showing out in the preseason for the Browns.
Needs to start.
over Jacoby. Yes. He will be your franchise quarterback because he'll play so well in the first 11 games that they won't even want to put Watson back there.
That's what they're like. Why did we even sign this contract?
We could have had Josh Dobbs for
We
like
could have had Josh Dobbs for like $2 million. You could have had like 50 Josh Dobbs or one Deshaun Watson.
I'll take the 50 Josh Dobbs any
Yeah.
day.
No. Yeah. Jeez.
I mean, talk to me when we develop cloning. But outside the SEC, there's obviously some good teams. Hopefully, I mean,
Surprise.
yeah, surprise. There's good teams in college football. We'll save Ohio State. We'll just keep pushing them back until we run out of time, and then we don't have.
And
to
then
talk.
it's like, actually, we're all out of time, folks.
So, outside of that, I mean, Alabama's 1 right now in the AP poll. Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, and then we have Clemson at number 4. DJ Uiagalelei didn't play very well last year. In fact, he was like statistically one of the worst 3 FBS quarterbacks. The defense is still really strong as always, but they lost their DC and Brett Venables to Oklahoma, obviously. So, like, what do we see going on with that Clemson team?
Not good things.
I have no idea, really. I don't have much of a read on Clemson. I think their defense, like you said, is going to be pretty good. Their offense, it could go either way. I mean, if it really works, we've seen how dangerous Clemson can be when things are really ticking. But I think it's kind of a question mark. They obviously have the top end potential to compete for a national championship, even. But in terms of whether or not they can fulfill that, I think it's kind of very much still up in the air.
Yeah, the roster's definitely there, but they lost both coordinators. So new systems coming in might help, might not. I think it's more likely to help on offense and hurt on defense, considering just how good and bad those groups were last year. So yeah, I mean, we'll probably see DJU play decent. I mean, they have a really good running back in Will Shipley, a pretty good wide receiver in Bo Collins, some guys behind Bo Collins with some potential, but we haven't really gotten to see play yet.
Some of those guys are already injured. Like I've seen like Troy Stellato. He was a wide receiver that was like interested. Ohio State was interested in when he was getting recruited.
But
yeah, he's injured.
He was hurt last year. He's hurt this year.
Yeah, I think he's hurt again.
Yeah, he is. Adam Randle, their freshman wide receiver from this class, has been hurt, but there's something in the water in Clemson where they just, knee injuries. They're just back in 4 months. I mean, Amari Rogers busted his knee in the offseason, then played the next year. Adam Randle busted his knee and is currently practicing. So,
jeez. I'd love to see how that defensive line looks without Venables calling everything. Just in general, how that defense looked.
They didn't graduate much on defense.
But still,
Yeah,
like
great
you still have
defense.
Venables making the play calls, right? Like I still feel like if you're like he was like I would say like obviously Trevor Lawrence, ETN, T, like all these guys came through like Clemson.
First
And
name
even
basis.
going, yeah. Me thinking Jamar Chase real quick was a Clemson player. I was like, no, 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 backpedal. But and like throughout all that, there's always a steady defense. Like there's always like Isaiah Simmons on the other side. Like there's always really, really good Christian Wilkins, like really good defense plays on their side. And Venables always making amazing calls, whether he's sign stealing or not, making amazing calls. So
That's just good
it's going to be
coaching.
really good how those calls will change this year and how that affects Clemson because I feel like that defense is always a rock for them. So if it's not a rock for them anymore, like in some games, like it was a little bit last year sometimes. Uh oh.
Okay, guys, I have a question. So this will very much, I think, very affect how Clemson does. Are the other ACC teams legit? Like, is NC State legit? Is Wake Forest legit again?
NC
Because
State, yes. Wake Forest, no.
NC State, yes. Wake Forest, no.
I think
Okay.
NC State's pretty good. I like Devin Leary. I mean, he could be Kenny Pickett this year. Like he's a guy who started for a while, been pretty good, shown some flashes. Could take that last step as like a fifth-year senior, like Kenny Pickett did. Um, Obviously, that's not a thing that happens often, but maybe we see it back-to-back years in the ACC. Um, Leary probably had a better season last year than Pickett did 2 years ago, so I think NC State's pretty legit. They tend to have a good run game. They tend to have a good offensive line. Um, the
Hey,
wide
they
receiver.
low key recruiting really well too this year. Like low key, because they're like always trying to take Noah Rogers from us. Like they're all because he like lives like 30 minutes from campus or something, and all of his friends go there or like have committed, and so they're always trying to get him to get on campus. But
Yeah, I
I feel
mean,
like North Carolina might make some noise too in the ACC, mostly just on like that just trusting Mac Brown and the program. But we'll see. Like I'm sure they'll like get a win that they shouldn't have. Like they'll probably lose games they
of Luke May, UNC basketball player.
Oh, boy,
Um,
this is crazy.
yeah, but they have a hell of a wide receiver in Josh Downs.
Yep.
Um, they've had a strong running attack ever since Mac Brown got there, but don't really have the same horses that they used to have. Obviously, I mean, Javante Williams and Michael Carter are great backs, and now they're working with like a transfer from Cal who might have busted his knee.
Shout out Cal.
Um, Shout out Cal. Yeah, and I mean they play a tough schedule. UNC plays Notre Dame week 4. Um, Notre Dame has a lot of questions. Obviously,
So we can dive into
first year.
Notre Dame.
Okay, let's do it. I mean, they're
Yeah.
ranked number 5 in the AP poll right now. First year head coach Marcus Freeman. Obviously, the players were super hyped when Marcus Freeman got hired
Hmm.
because they all loved him. So maybe that's a good thing. Um, first year quarterback Tyler Buckner, looking to start. Obviously, played a little bit last year, but didn't really get to start. Um, and then the rest of the offense, you got a running back room with a couple of guys who are pretty decent. Logan Diggs is probably the 1A. Michael Mayer, obviously
Yeah, he's
top
nice.
2 tight end in the nation with between him and Brock Bowers, and a
Yep.
lot of people go back and forth. Um, what do we think this team can be? And obviously, there are some big games on that schedule for them.
I think the saddest thing for them is like they've already lost some key pieces. Like they've already lost Chris Tyree into a huge injury. They've lost Kevin Austin, maybe is his name, the wide receiver. Patterson, their left guard or right guard is questionable now for the Ohio State game. Should play, but questionable. So they've already taken some big hits. So I feel like assuming the offensive line is going to be working well, like always, assuming they can get somewhat a running game going, if they had these pieces, I feel like keeps the pressure off Buckner a lot. And I feel like other than the Ohio State game, they can beat Marshall, beat Cal, beat UNC, beat BYU, beat Stanford. Like it's not really too hard of a run at all. Like in a way, like but with the injuries, it's really going to be like if people can step up. That's a big question, obviously, but it'll be like I feel like yes, they playing Ohio State straight from the jump. No one wants to do that. But if you were to pick a, a top 10 team, like, to play from last year, like, you'd probably play against our defense. Like, our defense was so goddamn awful. Like, for a first year quarterback to come in, probably one of the better choices to play. Even if it doesn't go well, you like assuming everyone can stay healthy. I think they can honestly maybe even run the table all the way down. Like I think that defense is going to be good and it's going to get better as the year gets on. And by the time it gets to the Clemson game, I feel like that defense is going to be humming.
Yeah, obviously, I like Tyler Buckner a lot, but
Yeah.
this is a kid who hasn't really had a chance to play. I don't think he's played starting snaps in 3 or 4 seasons now.
No, he's
He's
not started.
he's a sophomore in college, but I think it was an injury his senior year of high school, maybe his
Oh,
junior year too. So um, didn't play his senior year of high school, if I remember correctly. So
I like literally looked him up on YouTube and he has like a 14, like when he was 14, he has like a highlight tape.
yeah, I mean,
Like,
this dude's an athletic freak. Um,
no,
has
he's
all
nice.
the
And apparently Notre Dame fans have been saying like he looks nice in fall camp too. Like he's been like his like touch has gotten a lot better and stuff. Like he's been apparently been looking really nice.
yeah, he has the arm talent and the arm angles that are going to impress scouts, and can throw on the run really well. But
Yeah.
the, we don't know if the processing is there. We don't know how we'll be able to see the field. Notre Dame wide receiver core. I mean, you got Lorenzo Styles, who's unproven, but
He'll be
was
good. I
really
think he's
good in
gonna
their
have a good year.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a good year.
So like two read offense between Meyer and
Yeah.
Styles is a deep threat. So like look up for
Quite.
Styles and down to Meyer.
I feel like the first thing that the first question that you can like get answered in the Ohio State Notre Dame game, they'll tell you how that game's gonna go is like, can Notre Dame run the ball? If they can run the ball, like Michigan was able to run the ball against us, like Utah was able to run the ball against us at times, or
Minnesota.
like we stopped Utah more, but like Rising was getting more like rushing yards against us, but Michigan was running against us, like Oregon was running against us. If they can do that, Buckner's dangerous. Like if he like starts doing some RPO read option stuff, like it's over for us. Um, I mean, if you want to shoot out, we can give a shootout, but that's what like those first few drives when they're trying to like really with their like historically good offensive line too, like returning multiple like a few starters. I feel like that's going to be like the easiest way to see if they're going to be able to get the ball rolling against Ohio State.
So I'll ask that question to you. Did Ohio State get better against the run since last year?
I hope so. I really hope so. I think. I mean, I will not be able to see until like we actually play. I think we have the right coordinator. I think I really think we can be like a top 15 defense this year, but that's just going to be such a large jump that it's like hard for me to like really fathom that even being possible with how bad this defense was last year. But I think the defense was bad mostly because of the play calling and like putting players in bad positions. Like Zach Harrison, for example, or like not just bad positions, but also just being like a little unlucky. Like Zach Harrison was if a step away for like he had like a lot of pressures, but he was a step away from like 8 more sacks last season. Like someone like literally went back and counted like how many milliseconds or like how many steps away was Zach Harrison from sacks, like on some like on like this forum website I like watched, and like it was literally he had like 8 to 10 sacks where he was just barely missing him. So like those things can go the other way, and I feel like Jim Knowles is going to have a huge positive impact on this defense. Um, Seeing how he like turned around that Oklahoma State defense obviously took some time, but he has a lot more talent at his disposal here at Ohio State. And he also knows he doesn't have the same kind of time frame. And he seems from his press conferences very confident, oddly enough, in the defense and its progress it's made. So that's where my kind of like semi confidence is coming from. Where like I'm okay with the defense because like how much they're talking, like it's looking okay behind the scenes. Like they're saying they're giving the offense a run for its money, and the offense is saying the same thing. So if they're giving the offense a run for the money, like that's crazy. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be huge for them if that's true.
Yeah. But I mean, we also have problems blocking in the run game, so that's another thing.
But back to Notre Dame real quick. I mean, obviously Ohio State week 1, like Addy pointed out, Marshall, California, UNC, and then a plucky BYU team away week
Yeah,
5. I mean, could be tough for Notre Dame, but they probably
it
have the
shouldn't
talent.
be. It shouldn't be.
A rivalry
Like if you're
game.
trying to be in the playoff, you should win those games.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. Kalani Sitake has put together a strong team
True.
for the last 3-4 years. So
Definitely at home, it's gonna be tough.
rivalry game against Stanford. UNLV, easy game. Syracuse, probably an easy game. Clemson at home. That's going to be the test of another test of the Notre Dame offense.
Is Clemson going to even be ranked that high at that time?
Are they going to play anybody they can lose to?
They play Wake
I think
Forest and
they-
North Carolina State,
Yeah.
and then they play Miami at the end of the season. Clemson might have like 4 losses or 3 losses.
I kind of really like that Notre Dame UNLV matchup just because it's like touchdown Jesus versus
Right?
Prophecy of Sin. Like it's kind of
That's what I was thinking. Like if that game is in Las Vegas, like I don't know if those boys are going back to Notre Dame.
right. Like
It is not. It is in Indiana.
No,
unfortunately.
there's a reason why they're playing them in Indiana. That'd be hilarious. Oh, Notre Dame also got that Northwestern transfer, Brandon Joseph, like that safety,
Oh yeah, he's
to
nuts.
replace Kyle Hamilton.
That's crazy. I mean, going from Hamilton to Powell, sheesh.
To Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah, but they're a little different though. Hamilton's a lot more rangy. Like Hamilton is that first round pick. I don't think Joseph will be that first round pick.
I mean, still, it helps.
True.
Anything helps. Anything helps stopping Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka,
DJ Stroud, Trevion Henderson. The
Down.
list can stop there. But this last game in this Notre Dame schedule, USC, that could actually have huge implications if USC and Notre Dame are able to keep it up throughout the entire year.
I mean, I would say we're looking at a 10-1 Notre Dame team going in that game. And
look at USC's schedule. If they beat Utah, it should be undefeated.
I don't think they do. I think Utah's going to be really good this year.
I think they're going to be good, but that offense is going to be so ridiculous on USC. Is it at Utah? Oh, it's at Utah. At USC, I give USC the edge, but at Utah, I don't trust Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, though. The rest of the schedule not very scary for USC.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Is the Cal game at Cal? I might go watch it. No, it's not.
No. They get Washington State. I have high hopes for Washington State. Not on defense, though, is the issue. Fresno State's a plucky team. I mean, they pulled off a couple last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The rest of the teams they play don't have a shot.
They should really run the table. If they can beat Utah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like I said, I don't think they do.
You think USC's then a underrated candidate for making the playoff? You think they're going undefeated?
If they beat Utah, they're in the top 4 going into the Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they haven't lost to anybody.
Unless, I don't know, somebody runs the table that's not supposed to.
No. They have to be top 4 by then. USC has to be top 4 by then. Because they wouldn't have lost to anybody. So a lot of people would drop below them. Who, USC?
So they wouldn't have played anybody except for Utah. So if there's 5 undefeated teams, they might be the odd one out.
Yeah, but by Notre Dame, it's end of the season, right? So let's say Ohio State hasn't played Michigan yet, so Michigan could be undefeated, Ohio State could be undefeated, Alabama could be undefeated, Georgia could be undefeated, Clemson's not undefeated. Notre Dame could not be undefeated if Ohio State beat them. So USC. So like there is like 5, 6 teams maybe.
But like Texas, no, Texas would be 11-1.
Yep. Oklahoma. Maybe if
I
they
like
somehow
Oklahoma, but I don't.
on offense, I don't see it. I see it in maybe a year or two, but because they have some nice
Yeah.
recruits coming in.
Yeah, there could be an undefeated Big 12 team. I think it would be one of the Oklahoma schools, but I don't think it's likely. And
I don't
that's,
think it's Oklahoma
the
State.
scenario. That's the scenario though where USC is
That'd
the
be
top.
crazy. There
Because
could be
if
some crazy good matchups.
because if either of those Oklahoma teams are undefeated, then that means they beat Texas. That means they beat the other Oklahoma team.
Yep.
That means they beat Baylor.
They're not running the table through all that. No.
Yeah, the Big 12's tough.
It's tough with Baylor in there too. Dang.
Yeah, like you don't think about it, but jeez, and they like all play each
Oklahoma,
other.
Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas, TCU, West Virginia's never a fun game away.
Oh well, yeah. JT Daniels in West Virginia.
Oh, I forgot that everyone is transferred. Oh, Adrian Martinez at Kansas State.
Yeah.
Like, and literally everyone is transferred.
It's so fun. It's so fun. It's my
Where's
favorite.
Matt Campbell? Is he still at Iowa State?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Iowa State's got a first-year quarterback. I mean, obviously Brock Purdy, 7th-round pick last year.
King.
No.
Was
No,
he the Mr. Irrelevant or whatever?
Oh yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
But Hunter Decker's in there now. The hefty lefty 2.0 kind of. He slimmed down a little bit though. Obviously
Big 12 is
it's always
legit.
a team with a running back that's good at Iowa State. So we'll see who steps up. It'll be Cartavius Norton or Jarrell Brock, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, we've gone through the top 5. We hit on Texas A&M. We hit on Utah. I'll hit on Utah a little bit more because I love Utah.
Go for it.
I think Utah's a playoff team because I don't think the schedule's tough. I mean, obviously, game 1 against Florida in the swamp, that's going to be the measuring stick. Like,
yeah,
right off the bat, that's a good team you have to play. But then, other than that, USC and Oregon.
Kincaid coming back. Tavion Thomas comes back.
Cameron Rising.
Yeah. Phillips is back. Yeah, like a lot of the big players from the Rose Bowl are back.
Yeah, I love Cameron Rising. I mean, I think if there's a quarterback who is Zach Wilson this year, it's Cameron Rising. I mean, he went to the Manning passing camp this offseason, and like, I don't know if it was a competition and that he won or if he was just like the most talked about player. So I think Cameron Rising is a guy to watch in terms of the draft. So yeah.
The weird thing is I don't think they really have like the athletes for him to like, you know what I mean?
It's like Georgia. They're gonna run 3 tight ends out there. I mean, Frank Kuthey's still there. Dalton Kincaid. And I forget the last guy, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, they should be undefeated.
And it's a strong defense. I mean,
yeah.
Hit by Washington State. That game at Washington State. It's in between USC and Arizona. It seems kind of rough.
Well, Arizona's awful.
So.
Oh, Utah, Oregon. Yeah, USC gets to like miss Oregon and everything
until the championship.
Utah's back end looks kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean it's Florida, nobody, and then USC, Oregon, and maybe Stanford can do something.
Is Chip Kelly still at UCLA or no?
Doesn't matter.
At UCLA.
Didn't they have like a surprise win last year?
I mean, they still have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, always going to be a threat.
Yeah, I feel like they can make some noise.
Kyle Phillips though is gone. And obviously It sounds like Kyle Phillips is really good. Buzz out of Titans camp, just Kyle Phillips over and over again.
Who's Kyle Phillips?
Wide receiver, slot guy.
Oh, okay.
Freaking, they beat USC last year. That doesn't mean much.
When the whole team is now
They beat
Oklahoma.
LSU week 2,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember there was some victory.
and they lost to Fresno State the next week.
I think that's when I first heard of Jake Hayner.
That was a good freaking game too. I think that was a last minute drive for Fresno State that won it.
Yeah, was that the game where he was like hella hurt or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
nuts. That was nuts. And I mean, Hayner, like, didn't go pro last year. Kind of
Yeah.
sucked. Was gonna transfer to Washington with his head coach, and then didn't. Something came
Michael
up.
Penix Jr.
Yeah, that's gonna go so well. Gosh,
Hey, he's an athlete.
I mean, Kalen DeBoer's a good coach for Washington,
Mhm.
just in general, but I hope they suck. I mean, Washington State
Michael
fans,
Penix
I
Jr.
hope they suck.
I'll always cheer for Penix. Like, I'll always cheer.
Why's that?
Cheer for him. There's just something about him, you know. Like, I'm gonna stop myself. We should actually do a quick Big Ten like overview. I feel like it's the only one we missed.
You can talk about this awful conference in the Midwest and then Corn Belt, Rust Belt,
Don't forget
Bible
about Rutgers.
and Rutgers, and soon
And
to be
Rutgers and Maryland.
see.
I feel like Penn State is gonna be better than people think this year.
I agree, but real quick, just because I just did say it, USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. Explain what is going on.
Money, media, markets. We want the big cities. Basically, the Big Ten realized, well, we can either be the best conference by like getting good teams at football or getting teams that bring in a lot of money. And honestly, I like their idea.
We're just gonna wind up with 2 mega conferences.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I think it's gonna be 3.
It's not gonna be 2, it's gonna be 3.
It could
Yeah.
be 3. It could be 3. The ACC?
Although my issue is, I thought it would be 3 because I thought the teams west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, then they
Wouldn't
just joined
jump.
up. There is no
then
Pac-12.
they
There
did
is no
jump.
Big 12.
Yeah, I thought we'd get like a Pac-12, Big 12 super
And like
conference.
Florida State and Clemson, like if you want, or like Miami, if you wanted to take them, would join the SEC. Imagine if they joined the Big Ten.
Or the SEC. I don't know. I mean, the ACC is going to try and hold on without adding anybody, which is dumb. And I think the race for Notre Dame is going to be where we decide the fate of the ACC. If they can't get Notre Dame, it's
I
don't
mean,
last.
I honestly think like just give Notre Dame the year to sign, and if they don't, just give it to someone else. Like who cares? Just let Notre Dame walk. They'll like literally regret it in a couple of years. Like
Well,
you're going to be on the outside looking in on like multiple sense. Like I don't know. I feel like Notre Dame will like if they don't join the Big Ten, they'll regret it. They're just scared of like joining it like Nebraska or like Penn State, like Penn State did previously. They were independent and they joined the Big Ten, and they didn't see the same success once they joined the Big Ten. I think they're just a little afraid of the competition, even though it's not Big Ten competition. It is better than playing their independent schedule. So I think that along with they also have like a lot of other sports which like I've read like are not completely compatible with like Big Ten. Like they have some Olympic sports and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of like things like behind the scenes they need to work out. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm sick and tired of them. Like if you want your NBC sports thing, keep that shit. Just like stop. Like just leave. Just go to the ACC if you want to. But it feels like the Big Ten and Notre Dame have been really buddy buddy. At least this whole summer. So I feel like it's just bound to happen.
who do you think is the other team they add when they add Notre Dame? If they add Notre Dame,
Stanford or Oregon.
I was also going to say Stanford. I wasn't sure you would.
Yeah, Stanford because of like I feel like they like that. Like there was
Like the Notre Dame Stanford rivalry joining us.
that, and then also like they like Stanford has like a lot of other sports they're like super elite at that they like really like round out the Big Ten. They bring in a lot of money to the conference. Like, there's no one in like that Northern California, Pacific Northwest vein for the conference. It would be the only part of the U.S. they'd be missing, except for the Southeast. So
And
if you don't want to reach up to Oregon, you can still.
between Mississippi and California.
I mean, like they have the Midwest. Like obviously they don't have like the Rocky Mountain area, but they have like the Pac-12 region with like this with SoCal. So that's what I was saying. Like if they're trying to get another like big market, like the Bay Area.
I agree.
I thought like there was rumors apparently Cal was going to join, and I was so excited. I was like, yes, I need
Why?
to see Ohio State
Right.
at.
Why?
I need to see Ohio State out here. I could just walk to the games.
We'll just have to go to LA.
The in-conference away trips from Rutgers to UCLA is gonna be something else, man. Like,
Imagine that car drive. You literally wake up for like,
You'd have to take like 2 weeks off of work to go
but like,
to.
but that was like a point that someone else made too. Like, are they like allocating for the budget for every sports team to now take to take the flights now? Like
That's the,
every team has to fly now.
that's the whole issue with conference realignment for me. Every sport other than football is fucked.
Fucked. Like,
Maybe not basketball. Like we can
but
keep
still,
basketball.
like, it still like like totally restricts it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard for these teams to let alone just like field their rosters sometimes. You want this Rutgers team to go to UCLA?
Yeah, yeah. What is like the Rutgers women's gymnastic team gonna do?
But
Or
I mean, I wonder if they have something in like, with like this huge media deal that's coming up that they like, redistribute to the schools, and then they are able to like actually fund their athletic department, because apparently UCLA is like in ridiculous debt right now in their athletic department, and let alone by just signing into the Big Ten, their $100 million check they get for joining will like take them completely out of debt. So like there's huge money that's like getting involved in all these like kind of like conference realignments. I just hope it's, even though trickle down economy doesn't work, and we're not here to talk about that. I just hope it is trickling down to the lesser known school. Like, like those athletes also deserve, right? Like deserve to play, and they don't deserve to like, have their passions and their livelihood, like not livelihoods, but the things they do every day taken away from them just because we want to join USC and UCLA in this football conference.
yeah, yeah. Like USC women's rowing. She's gonna have to go compete in Ohio.
All right, let's take one more thing to talk about, and then probably wrap it up.
Well, yeah, let's go to the Big Ten real quick. What were you
No,
saying
okay,
about
let's talk about the Big Ten, and then let's talk about the Debbie list, because I do want to talk
okay,
a quick little thing about it.
the rankings?
Big Ten. Let's see who is in the Big Ten. Let's talk about Ohio State last, because save best for last.
We already talked
Okay.
about Alabama.
One thing I'm interested to know, at least like your opinion, is how do you think Michigan is going to bounce back / rebuild / continue the momentum from last year? They haven't been able to rebuild, like continue the momentum on the recruiting trail. It doesn't seem like, they've been able to keep the momentum going as much as people would hope. Definitely for, beating Ohio State for the first time, winning the Big Ten championship, making the CFP, all these big firsts. So are they
This
back?
is the hottest seat I've ever seen for a coach who's just in the playoff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's Harbaugh, and they just signed him. I think they just paid him again, probably. But
I mean, his like flip flopping
what
was the
is
reason they couldn't get any recruits this offseason.
yeah, and what has he done to like help this team play in the 21st century?
I'm sorry, but Michigan won because of our incompetence. Like that Michigan team was really good. Like I'm not taking anything. I mean, I am taking things away.
I
I'm
mean,
taking
yeah,
everything away from that offense. That defense was ridiculous. That offense like did not deserve to score as many points as they did. Like what? Hassan Haskins had 6 touchdowns or something. Like that's crazy.
but they lose both defensive ends. I mean, one of them was in the running for the Heisman.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody in the pipeline to fill those roles.
There's been some I don't know the names, but there's some defensive tackle that's been flashing this fall camp for Michigan. There's a 5-star defensive end who used to go to Houston, who just transferred to Michigan. Last name starts with an A or something. His first name it's like Eob something. I'm not sure. And then Michigan's always gonna have athletes. They didn't they wait? Is Will Johnson still there? Yeah, Will Johnson.
Early schedule looks so easy.
Yeah, like they'll be able to like walk their schedule for a while. They've got athletes in the secondary as well. Like Blake Corum is back. Donovan Edwards is back. McNamara is a fraud, but he's back. I'm sorry, like he is. I refuse.
No,
Like
you're right.
maybe he'll throw for 350 against us, but if he does 350 and 3 touchdowns, fair. But until he does that, I refuse to like acknowledge his ability as a quarterback.
If he throws for 350, fire your cornerbacks coach.
No, actually, like Jim knows what are you doing? Like, but like yeah, Colorado State, Hawaii, Connecticut, Maryland is an interesting game. That passing offensive, Tangalo, I cannot say that name. Talia. Yeah, I can't say it. But if he can keep the interceptions down, that passing offense is going to be interesting because they got Raheem Jarrett, they've got a transfer, they've got Copeland from Florida.
They have Dante Demas.
Yeah, Dante Demas too. That passing attack is like actually legit, and Raheem Jarrett, top 2 round potential wide receiver there. So Iowa could be a hard game. Iowa could be a hard game for Michigan. And it's at Iowa. Yeah, that could definitely be a hard game for Michigan because that linebacker is coming back and Riley Moss is coming back. Jack Campbell and Riley Moss. So you got 2 pillars there. They're
They
still
did,
struggling
they
with
did lose the running back.
yeah, and they still have
Strength.
they still have like that awful quarterback Steven Petrus or whatever.
Yeah.
So Iowa's still gonna Iowa, but they're still a defense, and you still got to go play them at Iowa, and you still got to deal with them waving to the kids after the 3rd quarter because they be playing like crazy in the 4th after that wave. So you still got to play Iowa. Like that's gonna be a tough game. Like if Michigan can like handedly beat Iowa, like that's a huge thing for them. Like I expect that to be a very tough game. Oh wow, they got to go Penn State, Michigan State back to back, but they're both at home, so I don't think Michigan State will be as good, but I think Penn State will actually be a pretty good team.
I mean, that's a big question for Michigan State. Like, can their head coach keep that momentum from last year without Kenneth Walker?
No, in
I mean,
my humble opinion.
Jaden Reed's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm looking up at I'm looking at their roster right now. I don't know. There's nothing. I feel like it's a lot of unproven stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
a lot of players that need to play, that need to show like what they can do. And their first 5 games are perfect for that. Western Michigan, Akron, Washington. Washington should be a good game. Like that should actually like playing an athletic quarterback like Penix Jr. should be great for that defense and should be a good warm up for Minnesota, Maryland, and then Ohio State. That 6th game of the season. Hopefully, going to be closer than last year. That's why it's like so hard for me to take Michigan State so seriously because we like absolutely smacked them last year with that defense we had still. So that's why a little bit caution, and I'm like still I would not have thrown that huge contract Mel Tucker's way, but I guess that's just college football now. If you have success, you have to throw whatever you have at it. But Michigan State's another like super interesting team this year. Like it's the same for me with A&M, Miami, maybe Oregon a bit, not really. Like UT teams that are like kind of investing a little bit more on the Texas and Tennessee teams that are investing more on the NIL front. If they can get a little bit more momentum early in the season, those recruiting classes could like really pop off. So Michigan State's another team that's like been known to throw around bags to recruits. Akinlola, like the top 2 offensive tackle, is like really interested in going there. A lot of offensive tackles are really interested in going there. Why they're throwing bags at the offensive tackles? So they're really trying to rebuild. So if they can have a good year, it'd be great for them. But if it doesn't look like, I feel like all this NIL recruiting is going to really struggle if that performance isn't on the field. So they really are going to be trying to get those wins on the sheet. But I don't think it's going to really happen for them. Like oh my god, dude, they have a tough schedule. They go Maryland, us, Wisconsin, Michigan. Like, sure, Maryland in that like is like the odd one out in that group, but like that's still a tough game at Maryland. Like I don't know, that's like Michigan State's gonna have a tough year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the driving force of them last year was Kenneth Walker,
Yep.
who came out of nowhere. I mean, transferred from Wake Forest, wasn't that productive at Wake Forest. Now they have two more transfers coming in this year, and Jalen Berger from Wisconsin and Jarek Broussard from Colorado.
Hmm.
Both of them probably like technically a higher pedigree than Walker in terms of transfers. Like they've actually put up some stats,
Yeah.
but I mean, Berger's had injury or off the field issues, and Broussard's smaller. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these things will be like, you know, sure they're playing Western Michigan and Akron, but you can still see how well that offense is, gonna function, how smooth that defense is with those easier games. So, dude, I just can't wait to watch these games. I'm so excited.
We get a taste, a nibble this weekend.
Right, bro. And like in Nebraska, Northwestern, in Ireland. And Northwestern's going to be Northwestern's going to be playing. I heard a quote. Northwestern's going to be really motivated because Pat Fitzgerald is part Irish. Like,
wow.
Like that's the only storyline I got for this.
You did mention though, but you didn't get to finish. Penn State. Do you think they're a sleeper team?
I think
I would
they're
agree.
a sleeper team. Yeah, they have some good recruits coming down. A lot of good defensive line recruits, and I think the defense is going to be a step closer to what we always expect of Penn State, stopping the run and just being more of a stout defense. I know Drew Aller is there, but I can't remember who the quarterback is. Yeah, Sean Clifford. He's a dog. Sean Clifford is a dog. And even if he doesn't, not a big red dog, but he's still a dog. Like he's like T-Bone. He's T-Bone. Like, do I want Sean Clifford, to lead me on a fourth quarter drive? Probably not. I'm not gonna lie. But do I want him to be
Sean
that veteran
Clifford
leadership?
is not throwing on a dime. Like he ain't even trying. Like certain other former Penn State quarterbacks.
Who?
Sorely.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. I thought you were referencing Hackenberg, and I was like, oh my god, please, can we not talk about Christian Hackenberg?
Song is so great. Yeah,
See,
but I think the question.
This is what happens to me if I just get off social media for like 6 months. I just don't get anything.
I mean, that's an old one. That's a deep cut. But yeah, I think the question for Penn State is how quickly can those freshmen find their way into the lineup? Because I don't think this is a team that's actually competitive for a Big Ten title with Sean Clifford at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It might be with Drew Aller if he's ready, if he's really as good as we think. I think their freshman running back, Nicholas Singleton, should lead the team in carries by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Definitely in terms of the other talent they have, like he should. I think he will. And then they have quite a few wide receivers. I mean, Parker Washington has been solid. They get Mitchell Tinsley from Western Kentucky last year, who obviously had a hell of a statistical season. Probably buoyed by scheme, but we'll see what he can do in a different scheme. I mean, Keandre Lambert Smith is there. He was a good recruit. Hasn't done much. Same thing for their tight end, Theo Johnson. I mean, hella athletic. Just hasn't put it together yet, which has been the story with all Penn State tight ends recently. So we'll see if he ever does put it together. I mean, Freiermuth didn't. So
hey, Gesicki and Freiermuth were a good back to back.
Yeah, that's true.
As an Ohio State fan, they were tough to watch, man. Like they had people that ended up being all pro in the NFL, struggling to guard them. They were tough. And that's actually one thing I forgot to mention. Notre Dame game, Tanner Mcallister transferred from Oklahoma State to Ohio State. He's playing nickelback kind of for us, and he'll start for us. He basically whenever the coverage breaks down, he has to go chase that last guy downfield. That's how Meyer got 2 of those touchdowns against Oklahoma State in the I don't know what bowl they were in.
One of the big ones.
Yeah, but that's even without Jim Knowles calling the play calls, the defense was able to stop Notre Dame somewhat, but Meyer was still able to get his stuff done, specifically against Mcallister. So that's something I'm going to like look out for that matchup. Just hope they don't gash us down those teams.
Absolutely. Well, that's a lot of football teams we just talked about.
Sheesh.
Let's cut it and talk about some football players, because obviously I'm doing rankings for these guys in college. Addy has some takes to fire off at me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta go soon, but I will give you my takes.
While
Let
there's
me
the list in
see.
the private chat in the StreamYard, if you want to find it.
Yeah, Quinn just can't be that high, man. Like he just hasn't played yet. Like, and like I'm gonna be honest, Devin Brown at 10 is crazy. Like that's so crazy.
Devin Brown's good.
I know
Quinn's
Devin
good.
Brown is good. Devin Brown is good. I get like I was not upset when we got Devin Brown and Quinn left. But there's a lot of people up here like. So are you really like disincentivizing like older quarterbacks like Grayson McCall, Jake Hayner, just because like they're older too, even though they've also produced, or also because they also have
If
things in
you
their game.
produced and had the opportunity to go pro and said no, that's a red flag.
Okay.
Because to me, that means the NFL doesn't want you. That means you talked to the NFL and they said, "Ah, we're good. You're a
Yeah.
5th round pick, 6th round pick." And at
Mhm.
that point, what's going to change? You're not going to
Fair.
get more athletic. You're not going to get a better arm talent.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can have a good statistical season,
Mhm.
but if you're Fresno State or Coastal Carolina, it's not like you're going to get all that hype from doing that unless you're
Yeah.
12-0.
I mean, Isaiah Likely's not at Coastal Carolina anymore, so
Yeah. And they lost their wide receiver too.
yeah.
Um,
I would actually have Ewers like way lower. Not gonna lie, I'd have like Hendon Hooker a little bit higher, like Van Dyke higher. Like Hendon Hooker has like showed flashes and still show there's still even more ceiling to grow into. Like the few
Hooker,
highlights I've watched about.
though, too, because he's 5th year, so he's
Oh,
had
he's fifth
10.
year. I thought he was younger than that.
He's old. A lot of time at
Wait,
Virginia
that's.
Tech.
I still like him more than McCall and Hayner though, because there's still things like I
Oh,
still think he can like improve so much. Like it's crazy.
oh yeah, and he's still in the SEC.
Yeah, playing like
Retention,
against really good competition all the time.
better
Let me
system, better wide receivers. I mean, yeah. But he still has.
see.
I still don't think he has the arm strength to wow. Kind of like,
Hendon Hooker.
yeah, kind of like Dylan Gabriel. Like Dylan Gabriel was great in the Hyper offense, but he didn't get NFL hype because
He couldn't really push it down the field.
he can't push it down the field. He can't push it to the opposite sideline.
I feel like you're underestimating Tank Bigsby a bit. He's disgusting.
Yeah, I know a
He's
lot of people love
disgusting.
him. I don't.
I just
Like,
love me an Auburn running back. I'm not gonna lie. They just make him different down there.
they're gonna be so
I feel
bad.
like I feel like also Will Shipley is going to be one of those running backs that might not get like a lot of stuff in college because of things that are happening on his offense, but is going to be like a nice running back for like a contender or someone in the NFL. Like he's got that perfect like Darren Sproles build, like come out of the like backfield with the catching. Like he could maybe even return some stuff. Like I feel like Will Shipley like could be really nice.
He's bigger than Sproles even, which is big, good for the NFL.
Yeah,
Because obviously Sproles is tiny. Like that's a once in a lifetime build. Um,
yeah. Shipley's 5'11", 205.
yeah,
Sproles was 5'6",
yeah,
190.
yeah, yeah. But I kind of disagree because the way they used Shipley last year, he was their offense. So I think he can put up the stats in college
Okay.
and be really good in the NFL. Obviously.
Yeah. I just worry about quarterback turmoils, things like that. Like I feel like
Yeah.
those things can have like huge impacts on your stats. And I
Yeah.
feel like he's going to be like it definitely Clemson like kind of fall off bottom of the 25, out of the 25 even if they drop multiple games like they could be someone that we don't see anymore then like he's drafted in some random round and we're like, "Oh, there he is."
I mean, but if you're a quarterback and you're struggling, and the coach is going to be like, "I'm going to take your job if you're not doing better," what are you going to do? Check down, throw completions,
True.
let Shipley
At
gain
least
yards.
he can get something going.
I have a question for you as a Big Ten fan. How do you feel about Braylon Allen?
I know nothing about Braylon Allen. I'm going to be honest. I will admit the things I don't know. I know zero about Braylon. I literally saw Braylon Allen today for the first time.
Did you actually see a picture? This man is
Yes. Like I saw it. Like it was like Joshua Perry's like top 30 Big Ten players for like the Big Ten Network, and it was like number 5, Braylon Allen. I'm like, oh wow, I've never seen this guy before.
I mean, he started last year as a true freshman because Berger got in trouble, I believe. Yeah, and as a true freshman, 1,268 rushing yards.
1,268.
Yeah,
How much does Travion have?
like if the next,
Oh wow, it's like exactly the same, nearly.
I mean, if the next Derrick Henry is in college, it's Braylon Allen.
Oh really? So he's not like a speedster?
No, he is massive. He's
Oh.
6'2".
Oh Jesus.
Yeah,
How is he 18?
yeah. He
Okay,
was
maybe I'm really on the Braylon Allen hype train. Can we
he
play
had
this guy? I hope
1,200.
not.
He had 1,200 rushing yards as a 17-year-old in the Big Ten.
Bro, that's so scary. And he didn't have like Graham Mertz like doing nothing. To
Nothing.
be fair, Travion Henderson 19. He's not much older.
Yeah.
Travion Henderson playing on a much better offense though.
Absolutely. And we didn't really talk about Ohio State, did we?
It's okay. I mean, I can get a quick thing off. Let's see. The things that I'm watching for the most, running game. If we get like when we specifically short yardage running game. If those 3rd and 1s, if we're still passing the ball, I feel like that's a red flag. Like the only reason we're passing the ball in the Rose Bowl because we could not run the ball, and we weren't doing it because we thought we were so good at passing. It's because we were that bad at running it at 4th and 1. So that's gonna be one thing for me.
Also Utah. That's one of their strengths.
It's also Utah, but it was like a struggle throughout the year. Like Travion was just not good at those like short running games.
And Utah was playing a running back at corner, trying to guard Jackson Smith.
Yeah, but he wasn't guarding Smith and Jigba every down though.
Yeah, but
I mean, and we literally had injuries too. We literally put our tight end back at linebacker and had him start at linebacker that game. So like we were dealing with injuries too. We had like 3 cornerbacks drop out saying like they didn't want to play anymore. Like it was crazy. But then other than that, if the defense isn't up to standards in the first half, I'd like to see what the adjustments are in the halftime before like losing all my shit. Because Knowles has really good adjustments at Oklahoma State. Like especially if you go watch like the Oklahoma State Oklahoma game, the Oklahoma State Baylor game. Knowles is like that's where my confidence really comes for the Ohio State defense. And I love this man. Like I love Jim Knowles with all my heart. So please, Jim Knowles, if you're out there listening to this, please let us win. But yeah, defense and their short running game. Huh?
So where was this energy for Alex Grinch?
Shut the fuck up. I hate Alex Grinch. He's literally so dog shit. Like, I'm sorry. He's the most fraudulent defensive coordinator I've ever seen. Like, ever seen. Like, he somehow failed up, like, continually. Like, I don't get it.
Alex Grinch was the reason that Gardner Minshew won games. Washington
Because
State.
he was so bad.
No. I mean, Gardner Minshew was like solid, but that was the best defense Mike Leach ever had.
Alex Grinch is so bad. Alex Grinch is so bad. He was really bad at Ohio State.
I think he's the defensive coordinator who will do more with less, but do less with more. If that makes sense.
That's so bad. I'm sorry. Like, Jeff Hafley, that's my king. Jeff Hafley is my king. Like, he literally turned around this defense in 1 year. That's what we need. Jeff Hafley, I love you, my guy. Like, we should have had a natty that year.
Okay, so here's where I'll go. We know who QB1 is. We know who the RB1 is. We know the wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 2.
I can give you a whole breakdown of the whole
Who's
roster.
starting at the 3rd wide receiver, and who's starting at tight end?
So wide receiver is going to be Smith and Jigba, Harrison, and then Egbuka or Abuka, and Fleming is going to be like going off for like that, like down the vertical, like down the field vertical threat kind of wide receiver. Abuka's also going to be on return, so we'll see if that like impacts the amount of time he's on the field. Seems like Cameron Babb's like a he's never been on the field for us, unfortunately, because he's always had knee injuries, and it seems like he tweaked something again. So he's gonna be out for a few weeks. So until then, Xavier Johnson, a former walk-on, who's like climbed the depth chart and is nasty, is apparently like behind Abuka, and then behind them is Jaden Ballard, another four-star wide receiver. And then this not even talking about Keon Gray's freshman wide receiver who might be able to play a little bit in the slot if he gets a chance. Caleb Brown, another freshman receiver who might get some playing time at running back because Evan Pryor is now out for the season. So we have Henderson, Mayan Williams, and now Dalen Hayden, the freshman running back from Tennessee, the third string running back. But now, since Steele Chambers moved position to linebacker, we have Chip Trainum, the Arizona State transfer, basically being like fourth. Like if there's a horrible scenario, they're going to actually put Chip back at running back possibly down the season.
It would be so hilarious if Trip Trainum transferred, said he was playing linebacker, had to play running back, and then once again got NFL hype at running back. That would be the most
I hope he
hilarious.
doesn't have to play running back because that means we literally got 3 injured running backs or 4 injured running backs.
Or I mean, he'd probably play some if you had to.
Oh no, he'd be really good. Like he's literally already running with the twos at linebacker. Like he's ridiculous. So that's like that side of the offense. So now tight end, Cade Stover is probably going to start. The guy that I just talked about who moved from tight end to linebacker the Rose Bowl. Cade Stover is probably going to start. They say he's like showing more of like a receiving threat this year, and it showed both not necessarily in the spring game, but in the scrimmages and a lot of the practices. People have like been reporting that a lot of the long touchdowns have been to Cade Stover. G. Scott Jr. is still in there, but it seems like he hasn't been able to really like crack the roster as well as people expected. Behind Stover, Mitch Rossi, fifth year, like kind of tight end fullback kind of role. There's a lot of guys that can get playing time. It's really like behind Stover, it's like up for grabs. Behind Rossi and Stover, it's up for grabs. Joe Royer, there's another guy, Sam Hart, Bennett Crispin. There's a lot of guys.
I love Joe Royer.
I like Royer. I like Scott more for like the passing game. But I see what Royer brings. I'm interested to see how the offensive line is. Last year we had the bold strategy to bring up 4 offensive tackles on this offensive line. That didn't go well in the run game. So we got 2 actually people that look like guards playing guard. So hopefully that helps. Justin Bryan from UCLA as the offensive line coach and the assistant or the running game coordinator. He was amazing, not only at UCLA but also at Boston College with Ryan Day, where that guy, what was that guy? Andre Williams?
I'm not sure.
Boston College running back, Heisman finalist. Anyway,
sure.
like 6 years ago, Heisman finalist. Ryan Day was offensive coordinator. Justin Fry was offensive line coach. Huh?
I vaguely remember this. I don't remember his name though.
Boston College Heisman finalist. Let's see, Andre Williams. Yeah. He was when it was like against Jordan Lynch, Johnny Manziel, Trey Mason, and AJ McCarron. Was a finalist amongst those people. What the 2013. Anyway, so he was there when Andre Williams was a Heisman finalist. He was also with Ryan Day at Temple when they had a top 3 running or top 5 running game there. So I'm hoping they can get the ball rolling on the running game. And I've also heard that like their zone blocking schemes are more they're better for the Travion's running style. So I'm interested to see how that goes too. On the defensive side, we got JT Toy Molalau, I can't say that, and Jack Sawyer on the ends. Those are the young guys. They still got old guys like Zach Harrison, JJB. I'm disrespecting some dudes by forgetting them, but hopefully they can play better this year so I can remember them. So we got a good like combination of like experience and young talent, but hopefully we got the coaching. Not only Jim Knowles, but we got Perry Eliano, the coach for Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant.
About
Huh?
way too much
What?
information out of Ohio State.
Don't worry, I'm still going. Oh, we also got Jalen Ramsey's old cornerback coach. We like completely rehauled this defense, man. We like fired every coach except for one.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
You said you want an Ohio State breakdown. I can give you one.
I just wanted to know about wide receivers and tight ends.
I'm more excited about the defense. The wide receivers and tight ends are going to be there. The defense is what's more interesting.
Okay, so Bruce Feldman had his freak list. Marvin Harrison Jr. was on there. I think pretty high. They said he ran like a 4.3 something. Or like, no, it was 23 miles per hour in practice.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's for sure true. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
The
he also
fastest players
benches
in
like,
the NFL are only like 22 and a half.
but like everyone says like they're running 23. Everyone boosts their numbers. It's also probably like
That's not
23
true.
without pads on. It's like
That's
23
fair.
without pads on. It's like 23 when like, you know, he cut off his legs, so he's like weighing half. I don't know. But like he's like a freak. He like pushes like 28 reps on 225. He literally had that jug machine catch where like he like set up the jug machine and he threw it and he went and caught it himself. Like he's ridiculous. Like I always thought he was like a technician, but he's like way more athletic than I ever thought. I'm sorry guys, I gotta go soon. I'm sorry.
Well, then we'll round it out right here. Unless you have
Wait,
anything
one thing I
else.
do want to know from your viewpoint, how is Keishan Boot? Or I don't know how to say his last
Boutte.
name. Boutte.
I mean, he's a beast. Like,
Is
he's
he
a
like
stud.
what's the like the skill set? Like is he like a Jamar Chase like down the field?
I don't think there's anything that like Keishan Boutte can't do. Like, he's that guy.
He's that guy.
But I mean, he's 6'2", 200, like pretty much average size for a wide receiver. Just can't be covered one-on-one. Like, no matter what you try to do, no matter how you try to stop him, he just can't be stopped. He was ridiculous as a freshman. But I mean, Keishan Boutte is a guy where he could legitimately say, I don't want to play this season and still be first round pick.
Oh yeah.
Like,
who y'all picking for Heisman? One person. Who's winning it?
CJ.
I'm with you. It's gotta be CJ. That's the safe pick.
I mean, it's like it's completely dependent on Ohio State going undefeated.
Will Anderson.
Oh yeah, he deserved it last year.
Yeah, and they won't give it to Young again.
He deserved to be there above Hutchinson. Like Anderson was disgusting last year. Like Anderson's gonna be something else. We didn't even talk about Will Anderson today. I can't wait till what's the first game on Saturday?
Austin P, Western Kentucky at
Okay,
noon.
ignoring that game.
Northwestern Nebraska at 12:30.
All right, can't wait.
No ignoring.
Let me see. What's it? Casey Thompson go to work?
Yeah, Casey Thompson versus somebody.
Let's go.
Northwestern has a quarterback. I
Not
want to
Hunter
see.
Johnson anymore.
I want to see Western Kentucky Austin P. I will have that game on instead of Nebraska Northwestern.
Hey,
That makes one of
go.
us. That makes one of us.
I am excited for Austin Reed.
It makes two of us.
Western Kentucky quarterback played for the Division II Florida State A&M Argonauts. Won the national championship through.
But are they playing in Ireland? Answer that question. And are they motivated by their coach's part Irish descent?
Kentucky, Ireland, same thing.
Ireland is the Kentucky of the British of the Great Britain. And I think with that note, we can end it.
Yeah, Western Kentucky just as beautiful as the Emerald Isles of Ireland.
All right, that's capped. I'm gonna stop it there.
The Mississippi River.
I've driven through. Oh, Western Kentucky. Yeah, I thought you said Eastern Kentucky. I was like, no.
Oh no, Western Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the brown Mississippi River.
Cornfields.
Some cornfields, yeah. Indiana bleeds in,
Anyway,
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun, guys. We should do this more often.
It'll
It was
be
a lot of fun.
a great game.
And hopefully Wilder will have his headset next time.
Yeah.
Good.
We also get to see
I gotta go.
UConn against Utah State.
Ooh.
Big game.
I was hoping we could make that Bandy bet.
Vandy at Hawaii, yes. I have $50 freaking dollars on Vandy to win by a touchdown in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in a not even week 1 game.
I'm sorry. If I was
Hey.
in Tennessee, Kyle, like we would our sports betting gambling, like our addiction would be so bad. Like I'd be putting so much money on this.
Mine is so bad. I have like over $150 in just active bets, like season long.
And on that
And
note, it's been a great episode of the podcast.
yeah, hit me up if you need bets.
Oh, I'm down.